When I decided to franchise my business back in 2020, I thought I was ready. I had strong brand, great results, parents loved our program. But in this video, I'm going to show you what really makes a business franchisable and how to know if yours is ready before you take that leap of faith. Because most business owners try to franchise way too early. They think success in one location means they can scale, and they end up burning money, time, and worse, their reputation. So stick around because I'm going to walk you through a 5-step checklist that will help you know exactly where your business stands, what to fix, and when it's truly ready to franchise. So about a month ago, I get a text message from an old friend of mine saying, "Hey Emile, can I give you a quick buzz?" I'm like, I wonder what this is about. I give him a call, and the gist of the conversation was, "Emile, I currently run a really successful tutoring business, the one store location, and I'm thinking about franchising my business. Now, I was told from a friend of yours that you're a franchise business, which we are, and I was wondering if I can meet up with you, have a coffee, and ask you a couple of questions to see if my business is franchisable and what I need to do." And when I got that question, I was like, wow, imagine if I went back in time in 2020 when I decided to franchise my business. I thought, I've got one location in Riverwood, I'm ready to franchise, let's go, world domination, let's get everything all across Australia. And little did I know, wow, when you're going to franchise your business, there's a lot of things you need to make sure and tick off so that your franchisees are successful. And I've learned so many lessons from when I started in May 1st, 2018, when I had 12 kids. COVID hit in 2020. I announced that we were franchising right before COVID hit, and then we franchised our business after. So in this video, we're going to be talking about if your business is franchisable. We're going to go over some key points, a little bit of a checklist, and by the end of it, you'll see if your business is ready to franchise or if you've got to go back to the office and do some work. Let's get into it. Point number one, and probably the most significant one of this video, is do you have a proven, repeatable business model? What do I mean by that? A lot of people, when they just start to franchise, they have one successful store. It's the flagship store, right? Could be a pie store, a bike store, whatever. It's successful. They automatically think, because I've had success at one store, this is a franchise. I can get this all across Australia, right? I can get this all across the world. They don't know that they may just have a one-hit wonder, right? So what you need to make sure, if you're going to franchise your business model has to be repeatable. You have to have success across multiple sites before you enter the great game of franchising. Because if you franchise off one successful site and you release 10, 20, 30 locations and you realize that half of these are not performing well financially and franchisees are now wanting to sell the business, it's not going to look good on you. It's not going to look good on the network. It's not going to look good on the brand. And I'll give you an example. With me, I started at one location in Riverwood. I built that up to about a 200-300 enrollment area. And then I had 2 other locations, one in Lakemba, one in Belmore, and one in Marrickville. So I had about 4 to 5 locations that were operating pretty strong in terms of enrollments before I started to franchise, or before I said I was going to franchise. So I had some good data, not just across one site, but across multiple sites before I franchised my business. So just remember, before you say, hey, I'm ready to franchise, ask yourself, is your business model replicable and repeatable, or do you have a one-hit wonder? Let's move to point number 2. Point number 2 is you have to have systemized operations. You know, there's 2 words that go with each other, franchise and systems. They're interchangeable, right? A franchise is a system. You probably hear a lot of these words, turnkey system or turnkey business. You know, when I first heard that word, I'm like, what the heck is a turnkey? Essentially what a turnkey is, think of a key and a box, you open it up and it's got all the business, all the playbooks on how to run the business. That's what a turnkey operation is. You can just turn it and boom, you've got everything and you're ready to go. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you're going to franchise your business, you must have systems, strong systems on how to operate all elements of the business, from your back end, your marketing, hiring. There's got to be, I call them playbooks. There must be playbooks for every element of your business. And when I first franchised my business, do you think I had any of these systems or operations? I had about a 10-page operation manual that was meant to show how to run the entire business. We've changed that now. We've built what's called a franchise resource center that gives playbooks for all the franchisees on how to find coaches, how to find venues, how to market, how to run ads, everything. You must build these systems, right? If you're going to franchise your business, because here's the thing, and I realized this later on, somebody that's coming into your business to franchise does not have much business experience, isn't an entrepreneur. Because if they were an entrepreneur, if they were a natural business owner, they would not franchise with you. They would start on their own. They're coming to you. They're coming to a franchise for that turnkey operation, for that head start, for that help and support. But a lot of franchisors, they get frustrated, right? Because I speak to some other franchisors. They get frustrated. There's a common thing that goes around, oh, my franchisees, all they do is complain. All they do is asking for this. All they do is that. That's what they're here for. That's what they signed up for. They signed up into your franchise to get the help, to get the support, and to get the systems. And my oath, you as a franchisor better have strong systems. And the last thing about systems is this, they've got to be simple. If you have got complicated technology, if you've got complicated back-end systems, if your systems can only be used by people with a level 5 experience, your franchise is going to fail, right? Simple scales, fancy fails. Your systems, think about it like this. Your systems must be so easy that a 5-year-old can come sit on your chair, log in, and start operating your business. If you've got all this intricate lingo, language, and you need tech-savvy stuff, a franchisee is going to come in, they're going to get lost, and they're going to come out. So you've got to have strong systems if you're thinking about franchising your business, and they've got to be simple. So simple that a 5-year-old can take over your business. Now, let's move over to one of the most crucial points of this video, point number 3. Hey, just quickly, if you want to see if a Little Boomers basketball franchise is the right fit for you, book a discovery call with me, and I'd love to have a chat. Point number 3, your franchise must have strong unit economics. The reality is, if you're going to franchise your business, franchisees are going to come in and they're going to want to make a profit. They're going to want to turn money over, right? They're going to want to make cash in the bank. If your business model has a break-even point, when I mean break-even, when you make your money back, because you don't make profit until you've made your investment or paid it off, and then you can make profit. If your break-even point is too far away, is years away, franchisees are just going to get turned off. Because if there's no money in their account, if they're constantly in the negative or close to zero, or they're constantly borrowing money after the franchise, eventually they're going to say, man, I'm not making anything from this, and they're going to sell. So your business model must be able to turn over a profit if you're going to franchise, right? There needs to be ways to increase revenue. You've got to have great profit margins. What those profit margins are different from industry to industry. For example, us, children's sports industry, a healthy net profit margin anywhere between 20 to 30%, you're doing great. Hospitality might be different, 5 to 10%. You need to understand what your industry benchmarks are for your profit margins. But franchisees need to be able to turn over a profit. Now, not straight away, right? All businesses have a ramp-up period. They're not going to make so much profit out in the gate on their first year of business. But eventually, once they start operating their business, if they're a good operator, they need to start to turn over a profit that's going to pay off their investment and give them cash. Otherwise, and I've seen this happen before, if they don't make a profit, if head office is just slamming them with fees, you've got this fee, you've got this fee, you've got this fee now, and it's eating into their profit, the franchisee is going to sell their business and they're not going to be interested anymore. And what you need to understand as well is, as a franchisor, you need to be careful of what bills you have or what you charge the franchisee. Because if you've got constant bills, if you're charging the franchisee for this, that, it's going to eat into their profit margin. So you need to be mindful. I'm not saying don't charge anything. We've got fees that we charge our franchisees on an ongoing basis, but we're very cautious when we're implementing a certain fee, because we know that it can eat into their profit margin. So you want to take whatever those fees are into consideration when you're understanding the unit economics. But overall, if you're going to franchise your business, you need to understand what your break-even point is, meaning if a franchisee gets to X amount of customers, whatever that might be, everything after that is profit. You need to understand those break-even points, and you need to make sure that the franchisees are turning over a profit. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's move over to the next point. Point number 5, and this is the most critical point that determines franchisee success. If you're going to franchise your business, you must have strong leadership and support team. You need to have a strong leadership support team, right? Going back to the story that I was speaking to about before, this gentleman who wanted to franchise his business, he was actually heavily involved in his current location. Like I'm talking, he was punching out 10 hours a day, tutoring the kids, doing the admin work. I said to him, I said, man, if you franchise your business, franchisees are going to call you for help and support. And you can't afford right now an operations manager or somebody to help your business. How are you going to run your site and answer phone calls from franchisees? And believe me, when they sign up, you're going to get a boatload of calls. And he looked at me for a second. He said, you're right, it's going to be tough. So I actually recommended him not to franchise his business yet, but to really remove himself from his current location first. Because the reality is, as a franchisor, in any franchise company, the biggest overhead expense, right, as a franchisor is payroll, because you need to support your franchisees. You need to have a field support officer, an operations manager, right? If franchisees are stuck, they need somebody to call. If that's you, awesome. If it's not, it has to be someone else. You need to have a strong leadership and support team that can help franchisees. Because the franchisee success is not solely, but heavily reliant on the support they receive from franchisees. But you know what a lot of franchisors, I should say, but you know what I notice a lot of franchisors, other people in my position do? They get upset when franchisees are constantly asking for support. Oh man, they can't figure out anything for themselves. They can't do this. I've got to show them how to do this. But that's why they came into your network. They came into your network for the support. Because if they knew what to do, they would just start their own business. So if you're a franchisor listening to this video, support is your duty. Support is your obligation. It's not a frustrating thing or something to get upset about. It's what you offered to help them. It's what you said, I will help you with. And remember, when you're supporting a franchisee, you support them initially, onboarding them, teaching them how to do everything in the business. That's the first part, onboarding, and then ongoing. Onboarding, ongoing. But just remember, franchisees are going to ask you for help. Some of these tasks may be simple to you because you're an expert at your business. They're going to need help. They're going to need advice. They're going to experience setbacks in their business. And guess who they're going to when they experience a setback in their business? That's right, you or your head office support team. So you need to start building a really strong head office support team to assist franchisees if you're going to franchise your business. But unfortunately, and it's sad to say, a lot of franchisors think that the deal's over once the agreement has been signed and the investment has been made. The franchisee comes into the network. They don't get the support that they thought they were going to get. And unfortunately, it's an exit, or it's an ugly exit. So you need to start building strong support systems and a good leadership team if you're going to go down the path of franchising. So guys, if you got value from this video, give it a thumbs up. Let's finish this video with a simple checklist that you can use to see if you want to franchise your business, right? First one is your business model repeatable? Has it been proven across multiple locations, or do you have a one-hit wonder? Do you have strong systems to start with? Yes, you will build your systems as you franchise, but initially you've got to have strong systems for the franchisees to use. Third, are your unit economics strong? How long would it take the franchisees to make a profit? What's their break even? Roughly what their return on investment is. You need to have good unit economics, and franchisees need to be able to turn over a profit in a reasonable time frame. And finally, what's your leadership and support team look like? Who do franchisees go to if they're stuck, if they need help, if they have a setback in their business? Start to build a strong support team. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.